this stream and then continue watching it later.
Plenty of good ones out there. Ah, of course, I've got things maximized over top of me, and it still
that happens.
Still causes it to disappear. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Discussing Tabletop. I'm gonna have to play around with that for another thing. There's that one. Does that work? No, it has to have the top of Discord. Just the barely that I can click over top of the one thing and do the. I don't know. Oh no. While I'm discussing Tabletop, it's May 20th. The world burns in a weird, strange way.
It's kind of wet. Well, Canada, I think, is currently burning.
I think it's more my brain is burning. You know, it just everything is.
I think Alberta's on fire again.
Well, hopefully they'll be less on fire. Sorry for your flammability.
It's wildfire season.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're going to talk about tabletop stuff. I hope you're ready for all that. Do I have... now I have it popped out. I had Twitch chat popped out earlier, but I had to close it down, I remember, for a reason. Now I've got to pop it out again. I don't remember these things until I need it. Anyway, there's our docket. I guess let's just dive into it for talking about things while I have energy and brain power today. Because there's just...
Yeah, that's fair.
Wizards has claimed they're going to do something 30th anniversary related for Magic the Gathering, other than the horrible things they've done so far. Like the $999 proxies.
Yeah. Aren't legal in any tournament.
Yep. I don't know. Like, after everything they've done so far, it's sort of like, are you going to do something nice for the 30th anniversary? It is that time, you know. It would be nice for them to do something that would celebrate the, you know, their technical flagship game. But it's a weird thing with them announcing that. I just don't have great trust as to what it'll form as.
I mean, you know, who knows? I don't have much faith.
I had a quick look up because I'd seen it. I forget where I saw it earlier, but here is when I did a quick look up for another article, here's MTG Rocks, which I've randomly heard about occasionally, but never really checked. But here's their link to their thing, because that's the one I'll use. It wasn't the one I originally saw this story on, but hey, you know what? If I can't find it at the end of the week, whatever, I'll just use the ones I can find. So yeah, God, I just don't know. It's, you know, we know what the stuff they've shown off is just normal Magic stuff, and they're like, we're gonna be at Gen Con, and I'm like, great.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess the 30th anniversary does fall on when Gen Con is, the actual date of it.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. I don't really have faith or an opinion.
It's part of me would like for them to do at least something nice for it, you know, that feels like it's actually something for the fans, even though it's probably not going to be. But even if the enemy is halfway there sometimes, because it's sort of like there's plenty of good Magic products and there's just awful Magic products, and I'm just like, why can't we just have consistency of just, I'll take okay, but you're not learning from the awful products like you did back in the day, and you also learned the wrong lessons, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that none of the current announced sets look interesting.
Yeah. So with the with their new GM core coming out soon, they're showing off Apex Magic items, basically high-level Magic items that you would have for your characters. It looks like they're bringing some new ones in.
Yeah.
which is good. This, I'm sorry, Pathfinder. Paizo's doing this.
Yeah.
Speak proper words, please. Me. Anyway.
Mr. Paizo.
Yes. They're making some more stuff for high-level play, which is good. A 17th level Bracers of Strength and a 17th level Cloak of Swiftness. They give you a combination of various stat bonuses and special abilities you can use, which are neat, honestly. It's like the Brace of Strength giving you bonuses to athletics and if you invest in them, your strength increases by 1, or to +4, whichever gives you a higher strength modifier by 1, or increase it to +4, whichever is higher score. Okay, and then you can also bear hug people, which is kind of neat. Yeah. So I guess since I've more looked into it, I do like a little bit the way that they're doing the items. They're doing a lot of that, like, either it gives you a set number, like it gives you an 18, or it like gives you just a bonus if you already have higher than it. I kind of like that a little better than the bonuses previously. So, honestly, high-level magic items, good idea, cool. Paizo, glad to see more of it.
Yeah, items are good. You need them in games usually.
The more things you have that feel like they're made for high-level play, the more you can actually say that high-level play could theoretically work. I think that's the other thing about it. Certainly I'm always worried about that. Running through these at a fairly rapid pace, because there's not a lot this week, apparently.
A week for once.
Yeah, like after the past couple of busy weeks, this is a pretty slow week. There's a second draft to the Orc license. As they've been refining it, they've got a whole bunch of publishers on it. They threw out, I don't know how many weeks ago it was, that they had the first edition, or I guess a draft of the Orc license. There's apparently a new draft. And apparently a whole bunch of publishers added suggestions, things to clarify, new key terms. Hacks? What's the difference between these things? I have to click on them and figure out what these things are. Well, I guess the one is the license, so you can look at the second draft. And the other
Orc hacks is like answers and explanations.
Ah!
So it's like clarifying document.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Oh, of the clarifying document. Gotcha.
Like an FAQ, basically.
Mm-hmm. So it's a license. I'm gonna tell you, I could not see the changes.
It's full of legal speak, and I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, like if you want to look at like this and try to compare and contrast how they've updated it, great.
It's copyright law, which I don't know anything about.
Yes. I mean, it's fine that they got an update for it. Neat.
It's good that they're letting people read it.
Yeah.
Even if I don't understand what any of this means.
Yeah, you know, it's... And also having, like, these very public drafts where they're, like, people can check on it, too. But their main words are, like, hey, we're looking to use this as not only showing the public what we're doing, but it's a lot of, like, it seems like the other publishers that are signed on board for it are basically giving their 2 cents to help develop it a little bit more. So that's good. Glad they're doing more with it. Glad it's developing. Continue to be sad that we need it.
It's better that we have it.
That's true. Thanks, Wizards. That's a probably very sarcastic thanks, Wizards, but it's there. If you want yet another entertainment property made into a board game, do you like Good Omens?
It's a book, right?
It was a book, and there had a TV series.
Book?
It was the TV series too.
I've never seen the TV series.
I was going to watch it. I haven't yet, and it was on my list of ones too.
Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman. I have read this book.
Okay.
It's a good book. Very funny.
They're doing a second season. I remember hearing they were going to do a second season, so that's why they're putting this out ahead of that, because that's in July. I have no idea, because I guess it's Neil Gaiman is the one that's still alive, and he...
Yeah, Terry Pratchett did unfortunately pass away.
Yeah. So I guess that I don't know. I'm not going to talk it like, the development of it and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know the development of it, like a second season, which I don't know how it would take it unless it's using ideas that Gaiman and Pratchett were kicking around.
I don't know if the show covered the whole book.
That's also a question, too, if it did or not.
I genuinely don't know.
So, anyway, there's a card game for pre-order right now that Renegade's doing. What kind of? Let me just see here. It's basically a battle card game, it looks like. In the game, you'll find several different dice and card games theme. Oh, so it's a multiple card game kind of box. Okay. That each different card game plays out different things. 2 to 4 players. So they call it 7 cooperative battles, which I guess are the 7 different battles based on different things. I mean, I guess for storyline stuff, it's an interesting idea, but I don't know how well it attaches to Good Omens, or is this just like the... we haven't...
I mean, in the book, at least, there are an angel and a demon trying to sabotage things, so... Do you know the plot of Good Omens?
I know the basic plot of it myself. I've seen some stuff on it. I can't remember it off the top of my head because I haven't watched it myself. I just saw some people talking about it when they were talking about some other various things, and they just ended up talking about that too. And since I don't give a flying rat's butt against spoilers, I was just like, and I didn't know if or when I was going to watch it anyway. And I rarely read books. Sometimes I do. But I mean, I'm just curious as if it's a case of we've got a game, we could put a veneer on top of it, or if the game is a little bit more tailored in a way that fits the concept of it. I don't know. But if you're a fan of that kind of this stuff, you might want to check it out. Probably look into it more. For basically 7 different games, I guess, for $25 isn't bad, even if they're simple, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like to be a suit-based game, but it's also like a suit/number-based game, but it's also like more to it than just that. So I'm curious as to how the different works. Anyway. Speaking of brain work, Looney Labs putting out stuff for Fluxx. They talked about like ending Fluxx, but they're putting out some ones that look interesting to a degree. Across America Fluxx, and also where is the other one I saw a minute ago, and I should have linked it to. There's also Across the World one, which I'm not finding the link to. God, I am a little off today. Don't mind me.
That's alright. Yeah. I've never played Fluxx in my entire life.
Oh, there it is. Across America and around the world and across America. Fluxx is a pretty simple card game. It's pretty fun. I guess doing this version of stuff is interesting, but I'm also like, part of me is also like, certainly there has been a lot of Fluxxes. The idea is there's the basic rule of the game is you draw one, play one card, and then you play either rules that change the rules, actions that do something on your turn, or you play a combination of keepers and goals to win the game. Changing the goal, playing keepers. So, it's a pretty simple game, pretty fun. I guess these are just new versions of them with some interesting art style. You know, that's got some locations on it, so it's very probably family friendly, I'd say. The Fluxxes vary from levels of family friendly, and this one feels a lot more like it is, kind of like standard Fluxx is. So, honestly, I do both like more Fluxx, and also I'm like, how many more of these can you do?
Fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah. I would just hope that these throw things in a loop enough to be unique enough. Like, some of the Fluxx games have certainly had little niches or mechanics or stuff that make them feel unique in the way that you play them. Like standard versus pirate. Pirate has like treasure cards and things like that, and the sci-fi one has like characters as keepers, so you can have like the captain of the you know, or something like that, or the doctor. So there are things that add unique ways that they interact with each other that feel themed to the things. Is there going to be something in these? I don't know. I would hope they have something, but I mean, again, these might just be better for if you want to introduce, you know, since they're 8+, younger people to Fluxx, and certainly things like the sci-fi and zombie and some of the other ones are not as well for that. These might be ways to do it. So, I'll link the Fluxx game links too, just so that's there for people, rather than just the Looney Labs one, which is where I ended up at. We've talked a lot about video game board games, but I don't think we talked about this one. And I just saw that it was there. There's a Dead Cells roguelike board game.
Neat.
Yeah. It's very funded with like $500,000
I mean,
already.
that's fair. Dead Cells is popular.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely understand it. It's supposed to be a cooperative roguelike experience. I'm guessing, you know, the, in quotations, roguelike is, honestly, it's a board game that has things...
A deck of cards.
A deck of cards.
It's random.
Yeah, it's got random stuff sent to it. I gotta be honest, like, I could claim Betrayal at House on the Hill is a roguelike to a degree, because it's, regardless of the story you're doing, it's different every time.
Well, a roguelike specifically is you maintain some progress. And it does look like you do have some permanent cards and upgrades you can unlock during the game.
Yeah, I guess it's like you could repeat it as much as you want before kind of doing like a reset too. And there are things you can kind of do. Permanent upgrades, reset upon death, building biomes, and like block path that you need things for. It's got interesting concepts to bring to a board game, and being cooperative is pretty good, so it definitely seems interesting.
I don't know much about the game. I just know it's popular. I know it had a Castlevania update DLC thing.
Yeah.
Recently.
I watched some people play it back when it first came out, and then I've occasionally watched people revisit it, and I'm like, this looks mostly the same, but there's a lot of stuff that they changed over the course of this game's existence that I'm like...
more content.
They did a lot more, and it just is like, well, more content that I don't understand enough to dive into it, but seems at least relatively interesting, and they do capture the art style of the entire game very well too, which is really neat.
They do.
So, if you're interested in it, you can of course pledge on it. It's very funded with 12 days to go. So
yeah, it's a popular one.
Mm-hmm. We did get a book for the Fallout RPG though too.
Ooh, RPG.
It is. Hi, Worm. Welcome. Welcome to here.
Hello.
It is fully operational. The Astoundingly Awesome Tales, issue number 2. It's a adventure for levels 16 to 20.
Oh, it's a high level one.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think this seems to be the issue number 2, so it might be related to the last one that we talked about that they put out. If I can remember the name of it, or quickly.
Or it's Orange Colored Sky, or it's not related. It could be, but this is also just.
It could be
a big part of the Fallout style.
It could be that they're incidentally could be related if you wanted to make them, but they're not necessarily related.
Fun notes for those of you who have played Fallout. Astoundingly Awesome Tales is a comic book that appears in the games.
I started doing Fallout.
Keeping it on brand.
Fallout 4 occasionally. I should know that, but I don't.
You should. You need to pick these up in Fallout 4 because they have upgrades.
I mean, I pick everything up. I am a terrible hoarder.
For whatever reason, no other Fallout game, but Fallout 4, you just have to pick up the garbage.
I did that.
You don't really do much with it.
I mean, I did that a lot in other Fallouts too, and other things like that. I'm just a notorious hoarder.
In Fallout 4, picking up the garbage is actually good because it says crafting.
Yeah, I have.
The crafting is bad.
I really feel like I should just add a mod that all my workbenches are connected between my settlements, because that's the one thing I want.
Here's the cool thing. You don't have to do settlements.
I know, but
you can ignore them.
I could, but I like building them
and not have to deal with the horrific settlement building UI or the settler AI.
Their AI is
literally, there's a perk in the game you can take that already does what you just suggested a mod should do, Tantus.
Is there? Damn it.
Yes. There's already a perk for it.
I haven't found it yet. That's why.
There is a perk, I think.
I'll have to figure out what perk it is.
I think it's local leader.
Oh, local leader! Ow! I've got a lot of charisma, so that might help. I might need another level of it. Damn it. Okay. It might be the next level. I'm not high enough level for that.
I believe it is one of the levels of local leader that lets you do it. Yeah, at rank 1, you can do supply lines, which connects all your workshops.
Oh, supply lines! I haven't set those up. That's why.
The downside is, people actually have to walk across the wasteland. It's not automatic.
Oh my! That's just so bad. So mod it is, because that just seems terrible.
Or, you play like I play and just never go to Concord. You never start the Minutemen, because that is not a main quest that you have to do.
Ah, man, I could have avoided that. But I want to explore everywhere.
City.
I've just gone across the entire north of the area there, of the Commonwealth.
The best way to play Fallout 4 is to never start the main quest.
I mean,
because it's badly written.
That'll probably be the last thing I do, go to Diamond City at all. I'm just going everywhere else. Look, it's my nature anyway in these games. This is sort of like, what's over there? Anyway, but yeah, so
high level content is good.
Yeah,
especially because there's not really much advice for how you should run a high level Fallout game yet.
I think that's a good thing about these adventures too. Is it's a good investment to give you an idea, regardless if you play it or not, how to run these certain level things, because that can be a difficult thing to kind of judge sometimes. Certainly there are systems in the 2D20 family, things probably more like Star Trek, where there really isn't high-level play anyway. It's pretty much play as play, you know, and you do have a progression, but this is a level progression. You get stronger. You've got to understand how that works. And examples are good for that.
You know, this is a side tangent. Apparently, the Winter of Adam book also has a store page now.
Oh, okay. So that one's also popped
That's,
up.
I think, meant to be a much larger... That's like a campaign book, I think.
Okay.
So they are pumping out content for this bad boy, which is good, because it's a very good RPG.
Yeah. It's good, and it's just good to have more content, honestly. Just some more variety to get into. So, I guess that's pretty much all our talk about for the things that came out this week. It's just, there wasn't a lot.
Slow week.
Yeah. I'm honestly, sometimes I'm just okay with that. How about we hit our week in tabletop here, where I figure out a deeper discussion topic. You probably had the majority as usual. Did you do anything on Sunday?
Sunday. No, we had to miss because we were down 3 players.
Wow, that's a huge amount of players.
Cell was graduating. Lynn had work things, I think, and she had to do stuff. So Lighting and I just played Stellaris.
I gotta get some Stellaris in. I keep thinking about it.
Fine. It's fine. It's still Stellaris. It's just a little different now.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a bit to learn the new update.
Did you have anything on Tuesday?
I have to look. I have to check the chat. I don't remember. I feel like we didn't. I don't think I did. I think the game got canceled Tuesday because, again, people were just busy. No, I know what it was. Jay didn't have time to prep, so he skipped the week. Which happens. I still don't know what's happening in that game, so figure it out eventually, I guess.
One day you will know.
No, I doubt it. I just know we're fighting robots, and apparently they're sassy.
Wednesday you folks had Buccaneers. We returned. We technically had everybody.
We did have everyone.
I know. I guess Eric just managed to get in there, even though there was.
Cell had kind of internet.
We had 2 people with that kind of way.
Like an hour and a half of solo Cell quest.
Mm-hmm.
With us mocking Cell's character in Discord. Just mocking the things happening to that character. Like we always do. And we travel a lot.
Yeah, I mean the traveling was going to be a big part of it, and it was. I feel like it was that one was. I tried to keep it short, but I also was like, you had options, so I didn't know if.
I like. This is not just like I just find it very funny. I like at the end you casually mentioned. By the way, this church has this demon book you could go steal. Like, we're gonna go do that.
Well, the thing is, I'd seen that earlier, and then when I was actually, looking at what it was, and I was like, oh, this actually could be something useful to you. It's like the book of, devils, and I'm like, oh.
Damn. Got information on devils. Let's just go steal it from the wife of my god. Well, one of them, at least.
Mm-hmm. Look, you might just need another copy of it or something, or the copy that's got Mephistopheles stuff in it, to be like, hey, oh, that's how we can do this. It's only one option.
We traveled across the continent, more or less.
You did. You went
Pretty
from
efficiently.
Yeah, you went from basically western central Grund to northern central Grund.
Yeah.
So a pretty far distance to travel. Not through a lot of countries, though, which was probably for the best, because, I mean, there's nice places to run, but there's a couple of places that are just, hey, they're not really friendly.
No, not.
Certainly, it was nice to finish up Cell's stuff and It took a little longer than I hoped, but
Still got a skull.
Yeah. I mean, it's an option. Cell keeps wanting to use it, and I've like specifically said it's a terrible idea to use it 99% of the time. Yeah. The time to use it is, hey, here's something you really hate. Please murder that. Okay, we leave now. Bye. Because you will murder us also.
Yeah.
He was warned. The thing that you will summon will murder you if you're not careful. Good times. See how it goes. Anyway. Did you do anything on Thursday?
I did do a thing on Thursday. I ran my game. Basically, they finished up their questing in the cool light world and left, and then the game ended. Because I ran out of ideas. There wasn't really a plot to the game. It was more of like, there's a direction you can go in. There's stuff there, and the party did that. And then I ran out of stuff. So it's like, well, the game's over now.
It happens.
They learned lore about the world. There's a big primordial trap inside of the moon that wants to kill everyone. Time is perpetually frozen and broken. All that fun stuff.
Fun.
Very, very Final Fantasy.
Did you do anything on Friday?
No, I did not do anything on Friday.
Okay.
Well, tabletop related.
Yeah. I can safely say I had 3 decent things to talk about this week. If you missed them, if you wanted to ever learn pretty much every Magic the Gathering format of gameplay, I talked about those on Tuesday. It took so much longer than I thought it would, and I am certainly surprised at some of the crazy freaking ways people have decided to play Magic the Gathering. They come up with some really crazy ideas. And then Thursday, I finished talking about most of the basic rules a player would need from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So those are done. And then today, I talked about everything you can play about in World of Darkness. So if you missed that earlier today, I talk about all the different types of like spawns and characters that can be made. But I did choose something I surprisingly, as I was looking at our list of things that we had talked about, because I do have an alphabetical list to like look through these, we've never talked about high level / epic level play and handling that kind of thing or getting to that kind of thing. I think it's something that we were just talking about here is high level, or we've talked about a couple of times. High level play is a thing that occurs. It has its challenges to a high degree. An epic level play, especially if we're talking about something like Pathfinder or D&D, are even more of an issue. So, I think I should define what do I mean by each of these. High level play usually involves whatever system you are, whether it's an actual level system or it's a system of development. Characters have gotten to that point in time where they have a lot of either they're towards the maximum number of the normal levels, or if they're just a stat builder, have developed stat building well beyond where they started with as a base character. For something like Besom, this means the number of points you've spent now could have doubled what you started out with. You're much more powerful than you were to begin with. For something like a Vampire the Masquerade or Shadowrun, it could mean that you've spent a few hundred experience / karma and have so many more abilities than your character used to have. The same challenges for beginning character don't exist anymore. I think that's the best way of kind of starting out with it. You don't get those anymore. And certainly in something like a level-based system, it's a lot easier to see. Something like Fallout or D&D, Pathfinder with their level systems, you can see those a lot better. Those the deficiencies that kind of occur. How many Pit Fiends can you fight? How many Balors can you fight? a few before it gets the same thing you fought before.
Yeah.
So that's our high level play. Epic is anything beyond that. That's if I'm playing Pathfinder, you get to level 21, or you get epic boons as in D&D 5e.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you handle that?
With great difficulty.
Yeah. I think that's the thing you kind of have to say about it. It's when it comes to the style of gameplay, the main thing that you will encounter is the fact that being high level or epic means you've got not only it's the stronger thing, it means you have more options of stuff too. 20th level wizard in any fantasy system that has a wizard has a billion goddamn spells.
Yeah.
And you gotta have a general idea what your billion spells do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for any kind of spellcast or one that has rotating special abilities. Certainly, those build your own systems where you're kind of developing it up. A vampire character with a whole bunch of disciplines at rank 5, and it's got 7 disciplines instead of the 3 you normally start with, and mm-hmm. They're all varying levels. It's going to be a lot of abilities to keep track of.
Yeah.
Same could be said for you as the person running this. Enemy spellcaster, billion spells. Monsters, a billion feats or spell-like abilities. For like Pathfinder First Edition, even Second Edition has like a billion abilities and stuff like that. Here's a big chunk of stuff that they can do.
Yeah. I'll tell you, as someone who's played a high-level mythic adventure in Pathfinder,
mm-hmm.
which mythic adds more to it. I'm not going to get into mythic because it's a little weird to explain.
Just to insert there, think of it like the epic boons from 5th edition,
yeah.
But instead of classes for Pathfinder First Edition.
Yeah.
Class
it was a lot of information, and I played a cleric, so I had a lot of things I could do. And the other issue with these ultra high level games is eventually, you just run out of things you can throw at a player.
Mm-hmm.
Because beyond level 20, do you know what you're gonna fight? Gods.
I can tell you how insane my mythic game got that I played it. We fought a moon full of clone Tarrasques, a super radioactive Godzilla form of a Tarrasque, which we threw into a moon. The AI god from one of the adventure paths that was like one of the mythic ones, just on another planet, basically. And also, like, the ridiculous space dragons that they introduced at one point in time. These were all the shit that we encountered. It was insanity after insanity.
In my game, we basically went and burned the abyss to the ground. We killed Orcus and a lot of the demon lords because they have stats and you can fight them. When you get to a certain point, they're not that dangerous. It becomes at higher level, you really are just fighting gods or godlike creatures, and that can it's an experience, but it can get boring.
Yeah. Now, speaking just as a side pattern for Mythic, if you're going to use that as if you're going to go above like a 20th level, you can do that at earlier levels and split it out. That's the only advantage of that.
You can do Mythic earlier. In fact, Wrath of the Righteous does do Mythic earlier.
There's a couple other things that have been introduced over the course of ages for the D20 systems, like D&D and Pathfinder, similar to that have been stuff you can intersplay. Yes, that can help with spreading out some of that power so you don't ramp up to it right away. But then again, you worry about that power level at lower levels. When you get to that, I'm a 20th level 5th edition D&D character, I have epic boons. Yeah, I'm fighting, ridiculous things, Tarrasques and gods and, horrible things that you probably can't. And Worm makes a good point about it. Like, what does the players want out of this high-level play? Is this something you've built to? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like, at what point do the heroes just stop because they've done everything?
Yeah. And, certainly, if it's an adventure you're building to that point in time, usually you have a story that you're planning an end around then, so it doesn't have that. Certainly you can play games that start at that level, but it's just... That's an entirely other can of worms, because what do you present to people that are, the heroes of the ages kind of thing? A 20th level D&D character for 5th edition, or a 20th level Pathfinder character, they are still slightly different. I will say, probably the D&D character is a little bit more, in quotations, heroic and probably epic at that point in time.
And that's likely to die at level 20 in 5th edition.
And even the Pathfinder version of that is pretty damn powerful and fairly, technically fairly rare that it occurs in Golarion. It happens more often than 5th edition D&D, but still rare.
I mean, in D&D they have the cast of the iconic characters. They're all level 20 characters. Pathfinder, I don't think the iconics are level 20.
They have some versions of
them. A couple of them might be, but I think most of them are because they're all in adventure paths.
Yeah.
They tend to stop around 15.
You make a very good point. Unless you TPK your party, they're basically immortal after level 15.
Yes. Death becomes a speed bump at a certain point in these games. We look at Pathfinder 1st edition, where death is expected to happen after a certain level. When you just slap a spell, dude's back up, everyone's happy.
The thing that you should really look about when you're getting into this high-level play, especially if you're going to continue it, is rather than having direct consequences for your players, like death, have everything they do have indirect consequences. So their choices matter more, and they have to think about when they throw their weight around. Do I go and attack and try to burn down parts of the Abyss? Well, okay, but that might leave an opening for, let's say, I don't know, an army of devils to invade somewhere, like another plane, or the material plane, because you doing that opened them up that they don't have that force fighting against them. And they were worried about a combined force of the demons won't like us doing that, the angels won't like us doing that, we can take the angels, or something like that. The demons are out of the picture. Something like that. That's a consequence of your actions. And yes, you can do these cool, powerful things. But yes, your players don't always think of that consequences and start hitting them with that. Then they will start thinking about ways to use their power. And don't make it like spike consequences. Make it consequences that make sense for the story and the cosmology of a world. It's an actual world they're being a powerful source on. They can do great things. They just have to be smart about it, and you have to prepare them great things to do. That's another thing too. It's just hard.
Yeah. My whole take on characters beyond level 20 or even beyond level 15, which is why I never go beyond those levels, is at that point Why are you adventuring? You should be, like, ruling a country.
Mm-hmm.
Or doing something productive with your life. Right, like a level 15 wizard, why are you still killing monsters? Why aren't you the archmage of some school?
Yeah.
Right? Like why doesn't the paladin have his own paladin order? What are you doing with your life that you are still going out and killing goblins and shit?
Like, certainly, things like the Pathfinder Adventure Pass give a lot of very good things. One of the ancient rune lords of Thassalon is coming back. With they're this horrible empire, and they're resurrecting. These were powerful, super epic spellcasters. You got to stop it from resurrecting, or the super powerful evil lich has to be stopped. These are things that require high level things, and yes, they're going to have some powerful minions. They have a power cap to themselves each,
Yeah.
which kind of represents where your power cap goes to. Also, though, certainly they can have some minions under them that are still a threat to your players, or you can use numbers to a degree. Certainly if they're just 20th level Pathfinder characters, if I would throw like 6 pit fiends on a group of 4 20th level characters, they're probably going to die to that,
Yeah.
If I get them into that more epic terrain, then maybe that 6 Balors would be an encounter. It's the elite fighting force of blah blah blah, and he sent them
Also,
to take you out.
If you're at level 20, villains aren't gonna want to fuck with you. Like, you, at level 20, you become the potential world-ending threat.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one on the world stronger than you. So why are you killing things still? Right? Like, I don't much personally see the point of continuing an adventure beyond level 20. Because, logically, what reason does a character have to go to those lengths still? Have you not accomplished your goals at that point? Is your goal to kill God? Then maybe.
I mean, again, that's the entire thing, is unless you had a goal that was beginning there above that point, it's really hard to move into that point once you're getting to that goal anyway. You said it very well there. You have to have been oh, this thing which is this horrible demigod which is does something and managed to avoid whatever rules are in the divine pantheon, that none of the other gods can mess with it. So you've got to fight it, and it's a demigod. That's a really hard thing to fight. That's oh god, we're kind of feel like we might be screwed. You might have to almost ascend to something like your own kind of divine power in order to face it. That could be a storyline of trying to figure out a way to fight it. You might not need that. There's a lot of ways that could go about. You could say oh, you have to access your own divine power. You could do this, you could do that, but I'm establishing that early on, though, as one of those things. I'm not bringing that in late game to be well, now you gotta go do this. And that comes down to having a game naturally reach that point in time is hard, because it's a long time to hit there, honestly. Mm-hmm. But that's probably the best way you're going to play it, honestly, is naturally reaching there. Go ahead.
I just want to point this out. We are at the 1.5 year mark of Buccaneers, and we are not level 15 yet.
Yeah.
Getting to level 20, if we would take Buccaneers to 20, I don't even know how you would at that point. It's not a story for that. But if we would, the game would probably be 2 to 2.5 years long. And I'll be honest, I'm already a little tired playing the same character for 1.5 years.
Well, that's why, I feel my current goals for Buccaneers is to kind of be done by the end of summer. By the end of August. If not before then. getting the ground running has been a little hard, I think, because, we missed a bunch, here and there.
We did miss some stuff.
And figuring out the speed when I don't have the crutch of a lot of the
You had to rewrite a whole ass book.
Yeah. Like, when I have a book next to me, I can use it as a kind of stopgap of, like, this is the kind of speed I want to go at. I don't have that, really, which makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah.
So getting that down. So I've got my goal for when I'm going to at least be done Chapter 6, maybe even Chapter 6.5. I don't know what kind of... if we're going to do a Chapter 6.5.
We technically have 2 quests that could be done in a couple of post-game sessions. Yaku wants to go kill his dad.
Yeah.
And my stuff can either be resolved in Book 6 or go beyond Book 6.
And so, like, I wasn't really planning on giving any levels if there's a 6.5. Maybe, like, an extra level at the end of the adventure or something that's not normally planned. Like, oh, hey, at the very end of Book 6, you gain a level. That's the level you have for the rest of the time we play this, if we're doing any kind of 6.5 kind of epilogue kind of chapter. But, yeah. And that's still pretty high-level play. Like, high-level Pathfinder play, the problem with Pathfinder First Edition and a lot of older editions is there is a lot of, like, very dickish things that just, like, nuke your character.
It's a lot of insta-death.
Instant-death, like...
After, I'd say, about level, like, 7 is when they really start coming out with the insta-kill spells.
Yeah.
See, there, you could just fail a dice roll and die, but that, again, it's expected, so that's why there are... At that level, you can just be brought back with very little repercussion.
Mm-hmm.
It is designed around that. Do I agree with that game design? Not really, but that's just the times it was made.
There are things I've improved, certainly, and, there's still issues.
Even 5th edition still has the issue of death becomes meaningless eventually.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to get away from that, because when you get to those high-level characters, a high-level character death is really difficult to deal with, and I think that's why, once you've had that huge investment, a lot of times they try to make death more, as you said, meaningless. Kind of counteract the mass amount of investment you've been kind of doing. Certainly, like, I can think of my, like, character who ended up being 20th level, mythic rank 9, I think we ended that game on, which is near the maximum for if you don't actually go epic. If that character would have died in the last couple of sessions, I don't know if you could have replaced that character. And,
like, in world, how are you going to replace this character? But also, I'm not making a level 20 plus character if I die. I'm sorry, I'm not going through that. You know how much shit I have to pick? Especially if it's Pathfinder. I'm good.
Yeah, you do that over, like, months of building the character.
This would take me, like, a month to make this character.
Yeah. It's not easy, and, like, you're like... How do you figure out equipment when you were playing a game that, like, equipment had its ups and downs with because of the nature of the storyline, And there's so many things like that was going on. And it's sort of like you can't anymore. And it just becomes very ridiculous. And I'm saying, the character I played was absolutely ridiculous. I think I was doing, like... I was like a scythe-wielding feral hunter. I was doing like 70 damage for one hit with my scythe, and it's a ×4 crit. So I was like, well, take over like 300 damage. That's the kind of thing I was doing at that high level of play, and it was just silly, honestly. Yeah. It was an interesting game. But I reflect upon the silliness of it, and, like, like, I can look at all the games that I've gotten to high level that I've been a player, and I just kind of have to say, they get kind of batshit, honestly. The ones that actually have something close to a finishing. Their stories just go off the rails bonkers sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to just suspend your disbelief that you can get to that level. I do think that's a reason that, like, the pre-made Pathfinder adventures and stuff, or any pre-made adventures that has that high-level play, builds in a lot of story things for it, because it keeps that... It tries to maintain not having that insanity to varying degree. I think... Go ahead, if you have something to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll be 100% honest. I don't actually think there is an official adventure path that goes to level 20 for Pathfinder.
Okay.
Because I think Wrath of the Righteous stops at like 18.
Okay.
For 5e, there is a single adventure path, and it's just a dungeon.
Isn't the Mad Mage?
Mad Mage is the only 4th tier adventure for 5th edition.
It's definitely one they've avoided. Like,
it's also not a fun adventure after a certain point.
It's a dungeon.
It's just you're just a dungeon crawl.
Yeah, I like a good dungeon crawl, but the thing is, when I have a dungeon crawl book, it's the way that the DM/GM adds in adventure to it that makes it matter. You know, otherwise there really isn't a lot to it, and especially those high levels. I think it's certainly a thing that to say that, you know, yeah, Pathfinder has avoided going to those maximums because it's a hard thing to deal with and to figure out what you're doing. Like, the final book of Skulls and Shackles gives information for doing more epic adventures after you've finished up with it. They're all pretty ridiculous, I gotta admit, and they're all really ridiculous stories, and like they're things that you're just sort of adding on, like an ancient titan that was sealed beneath the shackles begins to awaken, and you have to fight it or something, and you have to, oh god, it's just a little ridiculous. Things like that just get like, whew. Now I did joke that with that there, that maybe is why the kaiju that I did in the one scene was, but I did that for a different reason, and I didn't realize I could have actually changed it to that reason. I did have something going on that was a possibility you could have messed with, but no one wanted to, which I was fine with. But if you were interested, I would have added something in. I've done that a few times.
Yeah, the last book of Wrath of the Righteous is level 18.
Yeah. So
level 18 with 9 mythic tiers.
It's a lot still. That's still pretty damn powerful.
It does give you options to go beyond, but I don't know why you would at that point.
Again, I was just talking about how Skulls and Shackles, there's like the options are just kind of silly to a degree that go beyond. High level play is something that you're just gonna have to be ready if you're gonna do it. If you naturally get there, be ready for the insanity and the slowdown and the options. It's because no matter what you're doing, it's adding high level play. No matter what kind of system you're dealing with, just add so many options and so many abilities. It just becomes a mess every time, and you have to be ready for that mess. And I don't know if I can ever recommend, unless you have a really interesting story and it's not going to be that long, to have an actual epic level adventure. I will tell you from experience, I've tried to run things at more epic levels. They don't last long, or they are just ridiculous. Every time, no matter what you do. I remember an experiment that I ran that only lasted for, I think, a session. Was I took the D20 Modern book, and I took the book of the Epic Level Handbook, and I did a D20 Modern Epic adventure where epic monsters were appearing in a city, and the elite, super elite, like one of the world characters had to go and fight them, and it was all levels of silly. That's all I can say about that, and it would not have worked for a campaign. For one-off, I think I was trying to make it as a campaign. For one-off, it worked okay, but you couldn't have. It was just so freaking out there. So, anyway, you have anything you want to add into this anymore?
Yeah, I think I said my point.
Yeah, just be smart about it if you're going that way, but avoid it if you can. High level play is fine, but certainly I couldn't even high recommending like what we would call high level play. I can maybe sort of recommend that if you're prepared for it, or if you played a long adventure and you have the story for it. But I don't think I could recommend epic play unless the story really calls for it, and you are ready for that, because you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
So be careful of those. I don't think I've got anything else then, because we went over our week in tabletop, and that's about it. So I think that's it for today. I know I will have Momo back joining me on Wednesday theoretically, which will be nice when we do more Buccaneers. I will be back on Monday, where I rescheduled Fridays. I'll just set it up tomorrow when I have some time, because I haven't set it up yet. That was the other thing too, is I was going to do the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. There was an enemy randomizer. I was going to try that out.
That sounds horrific.
It might not work at all. It might be a one-off, just testing out that randomizer.
That game already has the most annoying enemies.
It does have some very annoying enemies. And they might just show up in really weird spots.
Also, like, I love the game, but most enemies are a reskin of a different enemy.
They really are, so I have no idea how this will work. I was going to test it out, see if it worked. It might be a one and I'll never do it again kind of thing. Like, I did do the Monster Party randomizer on Monday. That's an NES game which I own. I can show it off again. I own this game. I tried the randomizer, but it broke in like the last level. I don't know what happened, but it broke in the last level. So that went out of the window. It was fun to try it though. But yeah, I'll be doing more tabletop stuff Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Buccaneers, Wednesday in the afternoon. Only thing on the schedule is the randomizer for now. I'll figure out what I'm doing on Wednesday and Friday after I'm done the Fallen Order randomizer, trying it out on Monday, and then Discussing Tabletop back next Saturday at 6 p.m. Okay, that's the schedule for me. Hope everybody enjoys this. I am working on some stuff behind the scenes, trying to put them together, so I'll see about those games and when I do them and can put them together and stuff like that. So I've begun work on some stuff. We'll see about adding some more stuff to the schedule. Yay, schedule. Anyway, for now, thank you once again, Momo, for joining me.
No problem.
And I'll see everybody next time. So farewell, everybody. Goodbye.